So I have to tell you, I just love this neighborhood. Older houses are just fabulous. How long have you been here?
We've been here for about 10 years now. I love older houses too. I grew up in an old farmhouse, and our first house was a 1940s house, actually just down the street, but we've always loved this neighborhood. It's just fabulous, beautiful.
And what really attracted you to this particular house? Was it the neighborhood?
Well, we had, for years we had thought, we lived kind of on a busier street at the front of the neighborhood, and we thought we'd love to be farther back in the neighborhood. We'd love to find a pretty house there. This street, our children actually learn to ride their bikes on the street here. The yards are big, so there's just so much space. There are so many trees. It's just a beautiful neighborhood. This house came on the market, and it was the right time for us, and we bought it.
So was there a certain area in the house that was like, okay, we can live with it, but...
The kitchen, obviously, and it was maybe not even that much when we first bought the house. We can live with it. It was more like we've got to do something about the kitchen. The kitchen is not great, but the whole house wasn't really updated. There were many minor things that needed to be done. A lot of it was just cosmetic, but the bathrooms were 1950s bathrooms. So the kitchen, we weren't sure what we wanted to do with the kitchen. We thought we probably wanted to do something fairly major in the kitchen, rather than just touching it up a little bit. But there were so many other projects that ended up coming first. We did the bathrooms first. We had expensive teenagers, college coming up. My mother-in-law moved in with us for several years, so the kitchen just kept getting pushed back farther and farther. It was always going to be the next project, but it took a long time to get there.
So when you imagined your kitchen being redone, did you imagine this, or did somebody help you figure it out?
Well, I had ideas for the kitchen, and I knew what I didn't like about the other kitchen, but I couldn't quite envision what I wanted. So we hired Chris Ely to design or help us design this kitchen, and he helped us solve all those problems that we had and truly come up with the kitchen of my dreams. It is just spectacular. I couldn't have imagined anything this good.
So when you saw the first renderings, what did you think?
I was blown away by the first renderings. We had some conversations with Chris about what we wanted, and I didn't dream that it could be this. I didn't dream. I mean, it's actually, those first renderings were pretty similar to what we have now. There were some minor changes that we made. We did some tweaking of things, but his ideas, I will say there were things like, I really wanted an island in the kitchen. And he showed us these things, and I was like, but I really wanted an island. And he's like, he changed some things up and showed me what would happen if I put an island in the kitchen. And the kitchen's really, the space is not it wouldn't have worked in here. And so I've got this peninsula over here, which is absolutely as good as an island, plus all these countertops.
You have a lot of counter space.
I have a lot of counter space, ample counter space. And I do have, have stools that people can sit on, and we can eat in the kitchen, and I can have a small crowd of people in here, and it's great.
And so I don't fit in a wolf range.
I could fit in a wolf range, exactly. And he really was able to show us things that I had in my head sometimes didn't work, but he was able to show us what would work and what would make this room feel good. I think that's a lot of what Chris does, is he does things that make you feel good and make the room feel good. And that's one of the best things, is to have a kitchen that feels great.
Whenever you go in.
Yes, I walk in. You know, my husband and I, we get up every morning, we're like, is it still there? And we walk in, and it just makes me so happy to walk into this room. Just makes me so happy.
So how was the remodel process itself?
It was long. We lived in the house, which was difficult, but really not as hard as I thought it might be. I had a great contractor. He made things easy. He was here pretty much every day checking things out, and he was in there working a lot of the time, which I thought was wonderful. Chris was helpful throughout the whole process. He helped us with finding lighting. He helped us with he helped us with many of the steps along the way that made the process a little bit easier. It was a long process because there were still delays for everything. We had to wait for this. We ordered it. It was over a year before it came in, so the kitchen was finished before we got the stove.
You had to be patient.
We had to be patient. But any kind of renovation, especially if you're living in a house, is going to be difficult. There are a lot of inconveniences. But it's also fun because you get to watch those details and you get to watch everything changed. We have a picture of the dream kitchen that Chris helped us design. We had it up on the wall in the kitchen, and you get a little bit discouraged, when everything's gone and everything's torn out, but you have that picture and you know what you're working for and what you're waiting for. So that made it a little easier. And then, when things started coming together a little bit, and you can look at that picture and say, this is actually it's actually happening. It was wonderful. Wonderful.
Would you do anything differently?
No.
Well, that's pretty definitive.
No, I love this kitchen. I don't think I would change a single thing. I really don't.
Do you have a favorite thing about the kitchen that you might have never thought could happen?
I never thought that kitchen before was so dark, and it had, a lot of it had wood cabinets, wood ceiling, wood walls, just dark wood everywhere. But there's so much light. The windows are bigger than they were before. We didn't really add that much as far as windows, but the light bounces off the backsplash. We've added so much light in here. And it's funny, I'll come in the kitchen and be doing something, and my husband will come in and say, why don't you turn on the lights? And I'm like, oh, I didn't even realize, because this room right now with the lights off is 10 times brighter than that other kitchen was with all the lights on. And it's just so bright and airy, and it's perfect. Love it.
I think I can see that from that smile.
Yes. Yes.
And does your husband feel the same?
He does. And I would, if you ask him the question about what his favorite thing about this whole kitchen is, he would say, watching me.
Wonderful.
And he can sit there at the peninsula and watch me cook, and I love to cook, so it's been a lot of fun having this already. I haven't had it for that long, but it's already been great. And he's got his TV over in the corner, and he can just hang out in here with me, and it's wonderful.
Well, thank you very much.
Thank you.
We appreciate it.